Springs or Indian Ridge, you know, and it's just like. I'm antelope, I do about every 3 years.
Someone let me know.
I know.
'Cause
And the bull tags, I can get a bull tag up there.
He's a nice guy. Like I wouldn't, he's not creepy at all. I would trust him.
I think I'm just gonna pay a rancher in Farson.
You know,
I know.
I've done that, so.
You need someone to do it, let me know. Cause he.
Probably have to be Air Moss, because here's my scenario.
There's that stuff on the
I want
side.
to go up. Tell Air Moss,
Who's Chuck?
see my buddies want to come up. Drink like a 12-pack, shoot them. Then I want to load those up and with their hooves up in the air, and then I
Yeah.
want to go through the game check station.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah, he does that on the side. And then he's flying. She does shopping. That's actually. It's down there, you got all the. you know,
When are you gonna start blowing out sprinklers?
We do about the 15th October. You know, it's a little early sometimes, but
Yeah. It's so risky though.
yeah, I hate doing it in the snow, so. So we do it and before,
I-
you know, but it's,
So my elk area opens on the 15th, and it's just like, hate to shut them off, but at the same time, you know, like to keep it as green as I can.
yeah,
But then it's that one 10 below day that all my outside pitting.
Started to work.
freezes, you're worried about it.
Worried about it, yeah.
Does that every time.
That's great. So historically, we've been pretty lucky about that times.
It's been going
Yeah,
on for-
we were having hell getting a compressor for a lot of years, and so we finally bought one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And, you know, it's a used one, but still.
Something comes up, typically we've got a few laying around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like if you need to borrow one, or so,
I don't want to get one.
sure that I would love to. City has a air compressor for a couple weeks. But it would be like they sit around and then the batteries would die, and then the big thing we used them for air movers.
Right.
So we had two big units on a flatbed trailer, primary and then a backup. And you hook up these air ductors on a blow off fitting. And then we started making contact. Good to go.
Good. Good. We good?
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the County Planning Use Zoning Commission to order. Would you stand and do the pledge of allegiance with us? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. I see we have a quorum. Casey was excused for this meeting, so he's the only one to be missing today. I'll entertain a motion to accept the staff report into record or amend if appropriate.
I'll make that motion. Accept the staff report.
I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Also, can I get a motion to approve or correct the minutes of the August 13th, 2025 regular meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can we get a review of the approved August 19th Board of County Commissioners meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chair. On the August 19th, 2025 Board of County Commissioners meeting, we had 3 hearings that were approved. So we had setback variance for an encroachment 3 feet into the front setback of 20 feet and a 5-foot encroachment into the rear setback of 10 feet as requested by Hector Ortega Navarrete. We had a zone map amendment from agriculture to mineral development as requested by Joseph Amante with Clyde Companies, and then another zone map amendment from single-family residential to rural residential as requested by John and Kara Imany. And those were the hearings that were heard that day from us.
Okay, thank you very much. If we could go ahead and move on into the first public hearing.
Okay. All right, so first up today, we've got a variance on section 4.b of the 2015 Sweetwater County resolution. And what we're looking for here is just a extension on the permit or construction permit expiration date. Our applicant is Cameron Ring with Transwest Express. The applicant is going to change, but it's still going to be Transwest Express. It just will no longer be Cameron Ring. On here, you'll notice that for legal description and infrastructure, that part's been kind of left out because this is a very wide and long spanning project. I'll have the legal descriptions in the actual recommendation for you. But the zoning is also agriculture and MD1. And really what we're looking for today is because this is such a large scale project that Transwest Express is working on, it's going to take at least 48 months for them to be able to complete this project. And on our side of things, we can grant construction permits that are valid for 18 months, and they just need a longer amount of time with just working with other agencies and those types of things. It just takes a lot longer for them. And so here you can see the location of this project. The green line there shows the route that they're going. And you can see it's spanning a long space. And then this one also shows zoning. So largely dealing with agricultural zoning, a little bit of MD1 is in there as well. All right. And then for review criteria for this variance, the first is that there are special circumstances or conditions fully described in the commission and board's findings, which are peculiar to the land or building for which the variance is sought and do not apply generally to land or buildings in the neighborhood and have not resulted from any act of the applicant subsequent to the adoption of the zoning resolution. So this basically, again, this request for a variance is presenting special circumstances because this is a 732-mile long high voltage transmission line that's being constructed and implemented. And so there just needs a much longer construction time frame than a smaller project would. And as I said previously, they're working with numerous federal and state agencies and just making sure that everything is, how it needs to be for this project. And so that does take time. And not to go through and read word for word everything here for you guys. But, Transwest Express, they have stated that, they're trying to do their best to be efficient in the manner of construction and in the schedule of this project. It's just that 48 months is going to be necessary for them. Our second criteria is for reasons fully set forth in the commission's and board's findings, the circumstances or conditions are such that the strict application of the provisions of the Sweetwater County zoning resolution would deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of the land or building. The granting of the adjustment is necessary or the reasonable use thereof, and the adjustment as granted is the minimum adjustment that will accomplish the purpose. As I'm sure, we can tell by the scope of this project, there's no way 18 months is going to cut it for them. Also, if we were to move forth without granting the variance, their construction permit would expire basically in the middle of construction, and then they'd have to go through that whole process again when, they're already going through the other processes with other agencies, and could lead to a delay in the construction and completion of the project. Third is the granting of the variance is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning resolution and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. We've already actually approved the construction permit for Transwest Express. This has been in the works for a very long time, and they've gone through, all of those hurdles to make sure that this project is in harmony with, the zoning resolution and meeting all of those requirements. And so really this is just limited to the adjustment of the expiration date to allow for completion of the project. So we would find that would be in harmony with the intents there. We did receive one agency comment, and that was from Melissa Labber with BRS Engineering. She stated that the properties have no AML concerns with regard to abandoned historic mines. And that brings us to the staff recommendations, and staff supports the variance request 2509-001 for an expiration date extension of December 31st, 2030 would be the 48 months there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Is the applicant in the audience today? Would you like to come up and give us a short one?
Yeah, I'm Nancy Smith. I'm a pre-construction director at Transwest Express. And do you have any specific questions?
The board have any questions that they have concerns with, or?
I do have a schedule, a handout that I could present to you for kind of a better visual.
Thank you.
For that, and oops, can you share?
Yeah.
You're good.
Save them all out. And if you need one, Cassie, I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're in the process of pre-construction. This is a total 800-mile line, and it goes from Sinclair area down to Crystal in south of Las Vegas in Nevada. We're currently in pre-construction, and we are constructing access roads and site pads in specific areas. One of the attributes of our permit with the BLM and the Forest Service and the BOR is they have a lot of seasonal stipulations we have to meet, both with the state and with the federal government. And you'll see those indicated there on the top of the timeline. So we have migratory bird stipulations, we have big game stipulations, we have sage-grouse stipulations in all 4 states. So right now, we started construction in 2023, and we're doing work in Wyoming over at the northern terminals south of Sinclair. We're doing work in Moffat County, where there's a high density of cultural resources that need to be mitigated, and that takes extra time. So we're getting those taken care of and protected before we do end-to-end construction. We're doing work in central Utah at the terminal that is, I guess it's a little north and east of Nephi in Delta. And next year we'll be doing some work in Nevada as well, in Lincoln County. And we'll continue the work in those same areas next year in this pre-construction activity, mostly just civil work. That's in clearing vegetation, preparing roads, structure locations. And then the following year, we'll start with foundations, which involves transporting concrete to the work site. And a lot of these sites are very remote, so it takes some coordination and effort and to get that concrete there in time. And then following that, the following year, we'll start with structure erections across the areas, and that will take 1 year to 2 years. And then following that is when they do the wire stringing, actually putting the conductor on the poles. And then closing out the project involves reclamation of the disturbed areas, both from private landowners who make the stipulations of how they want that taken care of, along with the BLM, the Forest Service, and the Bureau of Rec. So back to my original statement, the project has been set up to minimize exceptions to seasonal stipulations, to minimize the burden on our federal agencies and our state agencies to process those exceptions. They're also costly to implement because you need additional monitors in the field to watch the wildlife. And if you're getting stipulations for migratory birds, it requires repeated visits to the nest or observations of the nest to see when the avian species fledged, so that then you can go in and start your construction. So this project is very environmentally sound in doing that, taking that into consideration for the wildlife and the ecological conditions along the line, because over half of it is public land.
And I'm sure it'd be really nice to be able to start at point A and go to point B.
Yeah, that would be great. But it's right now we're doing higher elevations because they have a very limited window of when you can get in there. And a lot of it is September 15th to November 15th. And in some places, you really only have 6 to 8 weeks of construction time without asking for exceptions.
Okay. No questions from the board?
I hate to, what is the ask for the variance?
Timeframe?
Yes.
So
Works.
it's going to expire August
So
27?
we can, I don't remember the exact date, but it was, they're valid, our construction permits are valid for 18 months,
Okay.
but we're looking to extend it out to 48 months.
Okay. And you spoke about all the processes about having to deal with the agencies and the stipulations with wildlife and stuff, but we're not superseding anything with BLM or
Mm-mm.
Wyoming.
No, we're under really
Correct. Okay.
strict requirements with our right-of-way grant from
Oh.
the agencies.
Fully understood. So,
Yeah.
okay, that's all I have.
Hearing no questions, I'd open it up to the public. Anybody who has any concerns, comments about this variance or that we're having on the public hearing number 1? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any other comments, questions from the board? I'd entertain a motion then for acceptance of public hearing number 1.
I'll make a motion to accept public hearing number 1. Extend the construction timeline.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you, commissioners.
I
Thank you.
probably should have worded that as permit.
Yep.
Construction permit.
Yeah, I just tried to go with what they got on the variance, so. Okay, we'll move on to public hearing number 2. Is that you, Eric? You gonna work for us on public hearing number 2? No? Oh, come on.
Me again, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Move on to public hearing number 2.
Okay. All right. So we're, this one's also a variance looking for, it's on minimum district size. So the property in question, it's about 3.5 acres of land. And the property owner is Rich Paul and Karen Paul Singh. The applicant for this one is Sweetwater County Land Use Department. Current zoning is agriculture, and the infrastructure there is right off of I-80. There's a private well, septic, and Rocky Mountain Power. The Sweetwater County Land Use Department is basically requesting a variance for the minimum commercial zone district of 10 acres So the next hearing that we're going to have is to request that we change the zoning of this property from agriculture to commercial zoning. And it doesn't meet the minimum district size because it's 3.5 acres. This would be necessary in order for staff to proceed in requesting that zone map amendment. And it'll allow for the change of the zoning of the property so that it can be used in accordance with the historical and current use of the property. So here is the property in question. You can see right off of I-80, and then it is surrounded by agricultural zoning districts with the exception of the commercial property that is also across from the interstate there. All right, we posted our public notice for this hearing, and then we've got views of the north, south, east, and west of the property as well. And for our review criteria, the first is basically that there's special circumstances or conditions for why we're seeking this variance that don't have to do generally, that don't apply generally to the land or buildings in the neighborhood and have not resulted from any act of the applicant subsequent to the adoption of a zoning resolution. So this property has historically been associated with a variety of uses aligned with commercial zoning. It's had a hotel on it. There's been a gas station. It's been a number of different things throughout the years. In the past, the land use department has written letters and things previously to owners stating that the property was zoned for commercial use. However, we've had a difficult time verifying the zoning of the property. Our records show that it is zoned agriculture, so we're kind of unsure where that all came from at the time, but it's been used as commercial.
So I hate to interrupt, but can I
Yeah.
ask, are there any structures on it currently?
Yes.
So, just to jump in there.
I'm trying to think,
Yeah.
imagine where this is at exactly.
So,
I've got an idea, but
it was an adult bookstore for right off the highway there,
Okay.
to the right. There's a convenience store there. Well, what was a convenience store, a hotel. And then next to it's kind of a fiber optic building. So there are existing structures there, just as Cassidy stated there. It's really conflicting because I found letters that said it was commercial from different planners and then some that said it's ag. So I thought it was always commercial, so I was really shocked when I looked at there and it said ag for this tiny parcel, which doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, so if that kind of sparks something up there.
Yep, thank you.
I think it's called Red Desert,
But across on the other side,
there's a compressor station there or something.
yeah, but I think it's across from all of that.
Yes,
the
yeah,
interstate.
that's something.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oops. Let me see. Okay. So our next review criteria is for reasons fully set forth in the commission's and board's findings, the circumstances or conditions are such that the strict application of the provisions of the Sweetwater County zoning resolution would deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of the land or building. The granting of the adjustment is necessary or reasonable use thereof, and the adjustment as granted is the minimum adjustment that would accomplish this purpose. So the variance will be necessary in order for the proposed zone map amendment to be adopted. If the variance is not approved, the zoning will continue to be misaligned with the current and historical use of the property. We basically right now have the property owners came in and they were wanting to have a restaurant on the property. Now they're doing a food truck out there, and that's been going through the whole process for public health and all of those necessary things. And so right now they can have that as a use on their property, but it's a non-conforming use. So it's just not aligned with the zoning. The third review criteria is that the granting of the variance is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning resolution. Staff does not anticipate the granting of this variance to be detrimental to the public welfare. And the variance would just allow for the historical and current usage of the property to be aligned with the current zoning resolution. We received two comments, one from Mark Berry with Lumen stating he had no conflict. And then Melissa Labor, BRS Engineering, stated that these properties have no AML concerns with regard to abandoned historic mines. And with that, staff supports variance request 2509C002 for a commercial zone district of 3.5 acres. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So any other comments from the applicant?
You can't make it 5 acres or 10 acres. It's just been there for forever. So yeah, just appreciate your aye vote on that. So
Some cleanup.
it's cleanup. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, if there's no other questions from the board for the applicant, I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone for or against our public hearing number 2? Seeing none. If the board has no other questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve, this variance.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing number 3.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So public hearing number 3, as previously stated, is the zone map amendment from agriculture to commercial, and it's for the same property that we spoke of in the last hearing. And basically, as we said before, we're really just trying to clean this up and to have this property be zoned, and have the zoning be aligned with the uses. So we'll kind of go through those things because we've already looked at them. So just going ahead to the review criteria for our zone map amendment. The first is that the amendment is consistent and compatible with the current resolution and comprehensive plan. We feel that it is, that this is necessary to clean up the zoning here. Second, the proposed zoning is appropriate for the topography and the uses that are proposed. 3, the proposed zoning is compatible with existing or allowable uses of adjacent properties. As we've said, the historical use of this property has been commercial, and that hasn't really resulted in issues there. There's also the property that's across the interstate that's also zoned for commercial use. And so we find that to be compatible uses. 4, the proposed zoning can demonstrate adequate public facilities, including roads, drainage, potable water, sanitary sewer, police and fire protection, all of those necessary things. And this requirement is met regarding the current proposed use. If there's any additional requirements, those will be addressed through the permitting process. All right, the 5th is that the amendment shall not adversely affect adjacent properties, communities, or the health, safety, and welfare of residents of Sweetwater County. And staff does not foresee that this amendment will have an adverse effect on adjacent properties. And the 6th criteria is that the request conforms to all applicable provisions of this resolution. The amendment will conform with the 2015 Sweetwater County zoning resolution if the variance from the minimum district size for commercial zoning districts is granted by the Board of County Commissioners.
One question, is this
Yep.
permanent? They won't have to come forward for this after this request?
Yes.
Okay. Any more comments from the applicant? No. I will open up the board. Anybody? Comments, questions? I'll open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here for or against public hearing number 3? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. If the board doesn't have any other further questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve public hearing number 3, zoning change.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Thank you very much. That's all we had for today.
Thank you. Anything else, Eric?
So, Mr. Chairman, next month we'll have believe it's a language amendment, correct? On wind energy and solar energy. Right now, so in one area, it's more restrictive in wind and one area it's more restrictive in solar. So we're trying to make them together. The big issue is the migration corridors, as we saw with the solar farm out here. We saw an issue with once the facility was built, the antelope went out onto the highway just because there was nowhere for them to go. So we are looking at beefing up those regulations on wildlife corridors. So you'll see that. Also in the wind energy regulations, we're also making some changes there to match. So the game and fish is more involved, which that was an issue with the solar. We pleaded with the applicant to work with Game and Fish, and it was just an issue. And they're a recommendation organization, so we want to beef that up so they do have a lot of say in what happens when these go in. Solar's a big issue with, obviously, with corridors. And there's a study that was published. It's out on the internet. I can forward it to everyone, where it states the effects that specific project had on antelope. So it kind of gives you the results of that. They followed them, and it's very obvious what that did and fragmented that population all over the place. So we want to look at that. So that will be, is there any other hearings that we have? I can't remember. Cassidy?
Yes, we do have one other hearing for next month, and it is a zone map amendment
Okay.
from
Oh.
industrial to rural residential.
Yep. So we'll have a few of those hearings, but just to kind of give you a heads up of what's coming. I'm also working on the subdivision regulations. That's been ongoing. That's probably going to take me 6 months before I see you on that one. But we're always going to get these little language amendments here and there so we can update our code. But I'll go over that stuff because we have a lot of new members on here on those amendments and how those work and stuff. So anyway, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Oh, and then September 12th is the grand opening of the airport. So yeah, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, thank you. If there's no other business,
What's the date for the October meeting?
Let me look really quick here. The 8th, probably.
8th?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be around.
okay, perfect. If there's no other comments, questions, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Quick one for a change.